Hi folks, Ren here. I've just seen a report on the BBC about the fact that in many countries fertility rates are dropping. We're not talking about the medical aspect of it, the ability of people to have children, but the fact that people's lifestyles are changing is reducing the number of children that couples tend to have. This is primarily because nowadays we have better contraception and education and these sort of things, so it's easier for couples not to have children. Women also have much better career opportunities and choices, so they're choosing not to have children. So you've got a country, or quite a lot of countries it seems, that instead of the population growing, because that's what normally happens, the population could decrease. And this is going to cause some problems, which I do understand. Firstly, you're going to have a situation where there's fewer younger people than there are older people, and we, to an extent, we depend upon our younger people to earn the money, to pay the taxes, to have pensions and care for the older people. If there's fewer younger people, there won't be enough people to tax, to give the money to support the older people. And the other problem is as well is take the housing for an example. At the moment, house prices are still continuing to rise, and we have allegedly a housing shortage in the UK. You can drive around the UK and see new houses going up everywhere. But if the actual number of people in a country is going to drop at some point, we will have an excess of houses. And for my generation, a house, a property, the place where you live, has been an investment. So you can imagine a couple brings up a family in their typical 3-bed semi in suburbia, and when the family's grown up and they've moved out and they've bought their own 3-bed semis in suburbia, you maybe downsize your house and use that money, the leftover money, to to fund your retirement, perhaps to top up the retirement pot. Well, of course, if there's fewer young people, if I've only got one child myself, and there's all these houses, and all my generation is trying to sell the 3-bed semis in suburbia to buy a nice little 1-bed bungalow somewhere to retire into, who's going to buy these 3-bed semis? Because there just won't be the same number of young couples to buy them. And if they're not having families, why would they want a 3-bed semi in suburbia? They'll be looking for 1-bed properties as well. So my generation might find a situation where we can't sell our larger properties because the younger people can't either afford them because they're being taxed to pay for older people, and they don't want them because they're just too big, not necessary. So that's got to be some interesting changes there. So you can understand that's just a very, very simple overview of why governments and authorities are concerned about dropping population numbers. And despite the fact that I understand these problems, and I do expect that there could be some pain if population levels do start to drop, overall, in the greater scheme of things, not being selfish, not being worried about what's going to happen to me, but what's going to happen to the world, a dropping population has got to be a good thing. The big thing that's going on at the moment is the environment. We're using too much oil, we're producing too much carbon dioxide, and we're cutting down rainforests to grow palm oil and stuff like that, and there's not going to be enough oil, or we're not being environmentally friendly and recycling enough, and plastic in the oceans. If there were fewer people, surely logic dictates that these problems would be decreased. As far as the environment is concerned, the most environmentally friendly thing we could do is have no people. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't want to see mankind wiped out. But I certainly think we are stretching our planet's resources because simply there are too many people. Now, how do you control population? Well, hopefully this is the ideal way, by people choosing not to have children. I don't want to see wars, and I don't want to see famines. These are the sort of things that have controlled population in the past, and they are horrible, horrible things. If people are choosing not to have children and choosing a lifestyle that doesn't involve too many children, then surely that's got to be the best way to move forward to decreasing population. You see, most wars and most famines are as a result of a lack of resources. We fight wars over resources, and famines are due to a lack of resources. Well, if there's fewer people on the planet, there will be more resources to go around. So I do understand that for me personally, and for a lot of people my age, and perhaps the younger generation as well, a reducing population is going to cause some pain, some short-term pain and discomfort, some problems. But in the greater scheme of things, if we can look outside of how things affect us individually, and if we can persuade our governments to look outside how things affect voters directly, and to look at what's best for the planet and what's best for future generations, then population reduction, as far as I'm concerned, population reduction by choice, as far as I'm concerned, is a good thing. Thanks very much. Ren, thinking out loud.